Looking back, I often wonder how my life took such unexpected turns. My early years were simple, growing up in a modest home where loyalty, love, and trust were core values. My parents, though not perfect, exemplified a devoted couple, and I always assumed I'd follow in their footsteps. I admired their unwavering commitment and never imagined my life would take such a different direction. As I grew older, I held on to those lessons, believing that if I did everything right, I'd find the same stability and happiness. I worked hard, pursued my passions, and met someone who seemed to share my ideals. But life proved more complicated. The values I cherished were tested in ways I never expected, and the perfect life I envisioned began to crumble. On a crisp November morning, I found myself in the driveway washing my 2008 Mustang, a symbol of the freedom and control I craved in my chaotic life, while others found peace in hobbies like golf. I preferred the calming ritual of caring for my car. As I cleaned, I couldn't shake the feeling that time was slipping away, hinting at the profound changes about to unfold, hoping the warm autumn days would last a bit longer. I was just finishing the car's interior when an unexpected visitor shattered my peace. A car driven erratically screeched to a stop in front of my house. I recognized the driver, or thought I did. It was Judy, my mother-in-law. She stumbled out, tears streaming down her face, and I knew something was terribly wrong. She left the car at an awkward angle in the street and ran down the driveway, tears in her eyes. She rushed toward me, buried her head in my chest, and started crying uncontrollably. "Come on, Judy," I said gently. "Let's go inside and you can tell us what's going on." I led her into the kitchen and sat her down. "He's such an idiot," she cried. "Would you like something to drink, Judy?" I asked. "Do you have tea?" she asked through her tears. I nodded, brought her a cup, and made some tea. "Give me your car key so I can move it off the street." I said. She handed me the keys and I moved her car into the driveway. Then I called my wife Penny to come down. When I returned, I brought Judy the tea, along with sugar milk and a slice of chocolate cake she had brought over the day before. "Thanks, Donnie." Judy sobbed. "Penny, you're lucky to have him. You'll probably never have to worry about your husband cheating on you." I was stunned. I couldn't believe Ed, Penny's dad, would cheat on Judy. As I started to leave, Judy grabbed my hand. "Donnie, your family too. I want to talk to you," she said. "Okay, Judy, what's going on?" I asked. "Why do men cheat?" she asked. I felt uncomfortable. "Mom, some say men are wired to spread their gens. Maybe Dad has a strong urge, but that doesn't make it right." Penny said. "I'm not talking about all men." Judy replied. "I'm talking about your father who promised to be faithful and keeps breaking that promise." "Mom, you know, Dad loves you," Penny interrupted, "but sometimes he struggles with his nature. All you can do is try to work through it. When he married me, he vowed to put our marriage above everything else," Judy said. The doorbell rang, ending the conversation for now. "I'll get it," I said. Glad for the distraction, I opened the door to find Ed, who looked defeated. "Hi, Don," he said. "Softly, is Judy here? They're in the living room," I replied. He walked inside and I went back to washing my car, trying to clear my mind. As I was focusing on the task, I heard a giggle behind me, 2 arms wrapped around my waist, and a lock of brown hair fell over my shoulder. "Donnie, do you love me?" Penny asked. "Of course I do, Penny," I said. "I'm dealing with a family crisis and I need your help. Can you grill some steaks and help calm Mom down? They might actually divorce this time," she said. "Has this happened before?" I asked several times. Penny said they love each other but keep going through. "This dad seems serious about getting help now he knows he can't do it alone. Maybe your mom should have put her foot down sooner," I suggested. "What do you mean?" Penny asked. "If I were her, I would have left him the first time he cheated." I said they need to face the consequences of their choices. He needs to understand that his actions could cost him, his wife and family. Penny looked at me shocked. Then her lips trembled as she tried to hold back tears. I could see she was on the verge of breaking down. I wrapped my arms around her, telling her to calm down. "I'd do anything for you," I said. "Donnie, it's easy for you to say your parents were perfect, so you've never had to deal with this. I don't want my parents to split up or be alone when we have kids. I want them to have grandparents who love them. I want us all to be one big happy family without worrying about which parent to invite to events, because the other won't come," she said. "Okay, honey," I replied. "I'll help. I'll cook the steaks and you can send your dad to talk to me while you talk to your mom. Maybe when the food's ready, we can all talk together on the deck." I didn't agree with what I was doing, but I loved Penny and understood her need to keep her family together. We all want our families to stay intact, even when our parents fall short. So I spent the afternoon talking with my father-in-law. We chatted about my Mustang sports and grilling steaks. He tried to come across as knowledgeable, but I knew he was full of it, especially when he lied about a car that didn't even exist. Eventually, I asked, "So what's going on with you and Judy?" He looked like I'd knock him. Then he almost cried, saying I didn't mean to hurt her. She wasn't supposed to find out. I thought, how original if you didn't want to hurt her. Why do the one thing that would? I stayed calm, though I was seething inside. I imagined him hurting Penny and I wanted to kick him off my property. Judy deserved better. She should divorce him. I thought of my dad and Uncle Steve, who were both good men. Any of them would have appreciated a woman like Judy, but instead, here was this idiot trying to save face by saying he needed to reconnect with the church. I had to stifle my laughter at the thought. Later, Judy and Penny joined us on the deck for dinner. Ed tried to play the repentant husband, but it was clear he was just trying to save himself again. After a while, I excused myself, went inside and laughed so hard I cried. When I returned, Penny gave me a strange look while Ed acted like he was waiting to be canonized. Judy, however, was in real pain, torn between cutting him out of her life or trying to salvage what was left. She was relying on us to help her make the right choice. "So Donnie, do you think counseling could help?" Judy asked. I glanced at Ed, who gave me a slight nod, and then at Penny, who also nodded, trying to save her parents' marriage. Finally, I looked into Judy's eyes, which were sincere. I answered, "Counseling can help you work through problems and see things in your relationship that you might otherwise miss." It wasn't a lie. I'd heard it on a therapy show, so there was some truth to it. Judy nodded. "Okay, we'll give it a try." She reached for Ed's hand and smiled. Penny looked at me and I felt guilty. I was doing this for her, but it didn't sit well with me. I excused myself, saying I needed to show Ed something in the garage. Once there, I grabbed him by the throat and slammed him against the wall. Prick. I hissed, "This is the last time I lie to save your cheating back. If you cheat again, you'll have more than a divorce to worry about." "Got it." He quickly nodded and I let him go. We returned to the kitchen, where I smiled and acted like everything was fine, but Ed was visibly shaken. Later that night, we had a good time with Penny, but just over a month later, 3 days after Christmas, we found ourselves in the morgue facing Ed's body. The attendant pulled the sheet back with a flourish, revealing the lifeless form of a man who had once been full of life. Penny collapsed in tears, Judy turned away, and I went into shock, my mind racing with absurd thoughts. The attendant asked if we could identify the body, and both Judy and Penny nodded. "I'm sorry for your loss," he said, his attempt at a comforting smile only coming off as eerie. We led Penny out of the morgue, where a detective was waiting. "So the deceased was your husband?" he asked Judy. She nodded, squeezing my hand when he didn't come home last night. "I got worried," she said. "Ed always called if he was going to be late." The detective offered U.S. coffee, which I declined. After seeing the state of the coffee maker, Penny asked what happened to him. "I can't reveal details of the investigation," he began, "but it'll be in the papers soon. Your husband, your father, young lady, was found at the Sly Easy Motel on Sycamore Avenue. A hysterical woman was with him. Her husband caught them together, kicked in the door, and well, he kept the last bullet for himself. You should go back to the morgue and say goodbye," the detective said. "Gently, ma'am. I'll ask the coroner to be gentle with his face." The detective offered that won't be necessary. Judy replied coldly, "No problem." The detective said, "We have clear evidence. The security tape shows everything, the guy kicking in the door. Your husband was already gone and there are no signs of anyone else moving around." Detective Judy said firmly, "I meant it's not necessary. I don't care where he's buried." Judy stood up and I followed. Penny looked at her mother and said to the detective, "She's upset." He just nodded. As soon as we left the detective's office, Judy broke down, crying on my shoulder as I drove them home. Throughout the day, people came by to offer condolences. Our neighbor Tanya stopped by with some treats. "How are you holding up?" she asked. I shrugged. "It's okay, honey, we're friends," she said. "I know you spent a lot of time with Ed. I used to see him chatting with you while you polished your Mustang." "Tanya," I whispered. "I couldn't stand that guy. He was a serial cheater, and it was just in his nature. Judy deserves better." She laughed, but Judy loved him. He was her first everything. That's why she kept forgiving him without him. She'd be lost, but Tanya was wrong. Over the weeks, Judy's anger towards Ed only grew. She even refused to attend his funeral at first, but I convinced her to go for Penny's sake. Eventually Penny got angry with both of us, especially when I refused to speak at the funeral. I couldn't think of a single good thing to say about Ed, and even his best friends struggled with the eulogy. Eddie was Ed, you should have known him. After the funeral, Judy became more involved with us, but certain things like watching TV shows where a husband cheated would set her off. Penny and I often discussed how we could help her. Penny seemed to move on from her father's end of life fairly quickly, and life resumed. About 3 months later, we hosted a gathering inviting every eligible man we could think of. For Judy at 43, she looked more like Penny's sister than her mother, but Judy didn't know how to flirt or mingle. She'd only ever been with Ed, who had swept her off her feet when she was 18. We knew it would take time for her to adjust, so we planned to keep hosting these gatherings. After the party, as we were cleaning up, I noticed Penny's phone on the counter and saw she had a message assuming it was from her mom. I checked it and froze. Penny had been texting another man. As I read through the messages, I realized she was dating someone else. Shocked, I stood there feeling like my world was falling apart. How had I missed this? Penny and I spent so much time together. When did she even find the time? Then it hit me. Penny had always defended her father, even when he was caught cheating. She insisted it was just his nature. Maybe she was more like her father than I realized. After all, you can't fight nature. I guess they expected me to react like Judy, just accept it. I thought Judy loved that man despite everything. Maybe that's why she kept forgiving him until the very end. Her anger might not have been because he cheated again, but because his end of life robbed her of the chance to forgive him one more time. Someone slacking on the cleaning. Penny smiled, but it's okay. I've done enough for both of us. Let's move to the bedroom. Honey, I need to work on the breaks, I said, watching her expression shift to sadness and frustration. How long will it take? She asked all night. If I do them all? I replied. Can we do it tomorrow? Maybe tomorrow should be my turn, she said, hinting at plans of her own. Her suggestion irritated me. Did she really think I'd want to be with her after she'd been with someone else? Honey, I'd love it if you didn't do the breaks tonight and came to bed with me, she insisted. And I'd love it if you let me do the breaks. After grilling and entertaining at a party for your mom, I shot back. If you really loved me, you'd do them. Later she challenged. If you really loved me, you let me do them. Now I retorted, what's wrong with you, Donnie? She asked. You usually want me all day, but today you're distant. Do you know how many women here tell me how lucky I am to have you? Even Tanya said what she'd do to you if I weren't around. Well, tomorrow's another day, I said, leaving her standing there. Okay, she called after me, but I knew what was going on. She was desperate for zest tonight because she had no plans for us tomorrow. She'd be too tired after being with someone else. Maybe I'm jumping to conclusions. I thought recalling a TV show where a jealous husband mistakenly thought his wife was cheating. He erected a car he thought belonged to her lover, only to find out it was a gift for him. The wife divorced him the next morning. I went to work as usual. Penny made me breakfast and I said, I'm sorry. I love you. Penny, what's gotten into you this morning? She asked, smiling. I just wanted you to know how much I care about you. I said, feeling guilty as if trying to stop her from doing something we'd both regret at work. I immersed myself in tasks. By 9:30, I was ahead of schedule and left early. As I was leaving, Penny called. Hi, honey, she said. Want to have lunch together? I'd love to, I replied. Home or a restaurant? I felt relieved, thinking I had been wrong. Then she said, hold on. I have another call. A few seconds later, she returned. Can we do lunch tomorrow? Mom needs to talk. I'll probably be busy, I said, and hung up my suspicions. Returning, I called Judy. How's your day going? I asked. Better now that I've heard from my favorite son-in-law, she said. Your only son-in-law. I reminded her, but still my favorite. She laughed. Have you talked to Penny today? She's going to ask you something soon, Judy said. Just don't set me up with one of your friends again, she joked. I'm not ready to date. No, just a dinner for the three of us, I said. Oh, that sounds nice. I'll pretend to be surprised when she calls, Judy replied. Bye, Judy. Have a good day, I said, ending the call. The call delayed me by 10 minutes and I realized Penny had only called to confirm I was at work. Maybe she'd picked up a few tricks from her father who got caught a lot. I drove straight to the motel and quickly spotted Penny's Ford Focus in the parking lot. I knew exactly which room to go to. I saw a cleaning lady nearby and paid her $50 to quietly open the door. As soon as I entered, I saw him trying to turn around. I crossed the room, yanked him off the bed, and slammed him onto the hard floor. "Donnie, what are you doing?" Penny screamed, trying to pull me away. I calmly stood up and removed her hands from me. "Don't ever touch me again," I said coldly. I called. My secretary told her I was sick and wouldn't be in for the rest of the day or the next. Then I dialed emergency to report an attack. Penny sat silently on the bed trying to speak, but I kept telling her to shut up. "Donnie, when we get home," she started. "We don't have a home," I interrupted. "I'm not living with a cheater." "Go to your mother's." The police arrived and I stepped outside to talk to them. "I'm the one who called." I said. "You don't look hurt," one of the officers remarked. "Not me, him." I pointed at Rick, still unconscious. They cuffed me and put me in the cruiser. As the ambulance arrived, I barely spoke, too numb to explain. At the station, I was booked on suspicion of attack. They had no solid evidence yet, just suspicions, and I wasn't in the mood to confess. In the holding cell with 8 others, I sat on a bench, lost in thought. There's a big difference between suspecting your spouse is cheating and actually confronting it. People change, and sometimes that leads to a split. But in other cases, the hatred fosters and the divorce becomes a battle. But for me, it wasn't like that. I loved Penny deeply, and until I walked into that motel room, I planned to spend my life with her. Seeing her with Rick, an older, fat, bald man, shattered me. I couldn't understand it if she wanted someone like that. Why marry me? She was the one who pursued me from the start. As I sat there trying to make sense of it all, a stout policeman called my name, Don Osmond. I approached the bars as he opened the door, flanked by 2 other officers. "Are you going to shoot me?" I asked. "No, you idiot. You've been bailed out." The cop replied. "By who?" I asked. He just gave me a blank look. "Does it matter?" he asked. "What are the charges? Who bailed me out? How long have I been here?" I pressed. "Buddy, you asked too many questions." "Do you want out or not?" he snapped. "Officer," I said, trying to stay calm, "I know you deal with a lot of people, but this is my first time in jail. If you could just answer a couple of questions, it would mean a lot to me." The other officers looked at him and he sighed. "It's 2:00 in the afternoon and you've been here almost 2 hours. I leaned in and spoke quietly so only they could hear. I caught my wife with our neighbor at a motel. I know I didn't handle it well, but I don't want to see either of them again. If Penny bailed me out, I'd rather stay here." "Sorry, kid," he said. "It's her. She was crying the whole time, but don't worry. Some fat guy and his lawyer talked to the prosecutor. They're not pressing charges, but I wouldn't trust them. You'll be here a couple of days to cool off. Then you can bail yourself out." I sat back down, noticing the other inmates watching me. They were probably wondering why I wasn't leaving. I knew Penny was trying to bail me out because she felt guilty, but I wanted nothing to do with her. I couldn't help but think about how I'd encouraged Judy to forgive it yet. I couldn't do the same for Penny. Just then the cop returned. "Hey Osmond, there's someone else here to see you, not the first one. It's her sister Judy. She's in the interrogation room. Want to see her?" "Yes," I said. He cuffed me and led me to a partitioned room with bulletproof glass. I sat down and stared at Judy through the glass. "Hey, Donnie," she said, "what's going on?" "Penny just said you strike up your neighbor and wouldn't let her bail you out, Judy. She cheated on me." I said. Her face fell with him. "That's disgusting." "But why?" "From what she told me, you're always." Before we could finish, a tall man in a cheap suit knocked on the wall. "Excuse me," he said. "Are you Don Osmond?" I nodded. "Can you join me in the conference room across the hall when you're done here?" He asked the officers. "Uncuffed me. He's not a threat." "Why the cuffs?" the man asked. "He's here for attack," the cop explained, though honestly, I'd have done the same thing. "Donnie, don't do anything stupid," Judy warned. "I know how you feel. I'll call you tomorrow," I said. "If I get out today, I'll send Penny to stay with you." I walked into the conference room where Penny, Rick, and 2 other men were sitting. Penny jumped up and Rick limped toward me. "Get away from me," I shouted. "If any of these idiots come near me, I'm going back to my cell." The guy at the table introduced himself. "Mr. Osmond, I'm Willis Drummond, the district attorney. Mr. Daniels here represents your neighbor. We have a suggestion that could let everyone walk away now." "What are you talking about, Willis?" I asked. Drummond turned to Daniels. "Why don't you explain Charlie?" he said. As Daniels began talking to me like we were old friends, "Don, this is an unfortunate situation. The emotional toll alone is terrible. There's no reason for you to leave here with a criminal record that could haunt you. These charges attack and battery, intent to do. Grievous damage are serious." Daniel said, "I'm not worried." I replied, "With my education and specialty, my career won't be affected." Daniel swallowed. "No need for an innocent person to suffer over a situation that spiraled out of control. Innocent? Who here is innocent?" "I'm the one who got hurt," I said. At that moment, Penny started crying. "I thought I had a wife I could love for life. I was wrong. I thought I had a friend next door. I could trust wrong again." "Donnie, what about Tanya?" Rick asked. "She's done nothing wrong. Why hurt her? Tanya deserves to know the truth. She deserves better than a cheater. She'll be fine without you," I said. "Maybe we'll even get through this together." "No," Rick pleaded. "Don't tell her." Daniels jumped in. "Here's the deal. My client won't press charges if you agree to forget this ever happened." "I won't forget," I said. "I'll take it to a jury. When they hear why I strike your client, they'll understand I'll name him in my divorce and testify against him in Tanya's." The four of them huddled and argued quietly, then turned back to me. "What do you want?" They asked nothing. I replied, "I won't tell Tanya or sue you, but you must testify in the divorce and deny the charges and stay 50 feet away from me and my things." "Deal," Rick said with a grin. "Good. I know I'm about 50 feet from her now, but that starts once I leave the building, right?" I added, "I don't care what you do." "She's not mine anymore," Rick muttered. "Can I go now?" I asked. "No," Penny shouted. "We're not doing this, Willis. Walk me to the counter so I can get my things. I need my wallet for a cab." As I walked out, all I could hear was Penny crying. When I got home, Tanya was outside and called to me. "Where have you been, stranger?" she asked. "My husband got into a bad situation and got roughed up." "Poor guy." I said. "It's tough." "Tanya, I'm sorry, but I've had a rough day too. We'll talk later. Send your wife over," she said. "Tanya, I don't have a wife anymore," I replied, leaving her shocked. Inside, Penny's cell phone rang, but I let it go to voicemail. After the 5th call, it went silent, then rang again, this time from Judy's number. I picked up to tell her to stop calling. "Judy, can you?" I started. "Honey, you have to." I hung up. Half an hour later, the phone rang again. It was Judy. I answered. "Donnie, are you there?" she asked. "Hi, Judy," I said. "I had to give Penny some tea with sleeping pills. She's out of control, crying and blaming everyone for ruining her life." "I believe it," I said sadly, "but there aren't many people to blame." "Oh, she blames Rick and says he tricked her into that deal. She also blames you for your behavior." "How am I doing?" I asked Donnie. "You're not acting like yourself," she said softly, and that's exactly what she expected. "Does it ever get better?" I asked. "No," she whispered. "It gets worse. You start doubting yourself, wondering what's wrong with you, why he chose someone else. You compare yourself to others, and every time he's late or not where he's supposed to be, you imagine the worst. It never goes away, and you never fully trust again." "Judy, can I tell you something?" I asked. "Of course, we're family." She said. "I lied to you. I admitted when we were trying to get you to take Ed back and go to counseling. I thought you should just overlook his cheating. But you said what Penny wanted because you love her." She finished. "I know, Donnie, you're a terrible liar. Your mouth says one thing, but your eyes say another. Ed was foolish." I said. "No one he cheated with was worth a fraction of you." "Maybe it's in their blood," she replied. "I can't believe Penny let that gross guy near her, let alone she cut herself off. Donnie, I'm sorry, but I'm not you. I won't keep taking her back just for her to do it again. Maybe she got it from her father." I said. "She always said you can't fight nature." "I hope that's not true," she said. "You can train wild animals. Maybe people can change too, but it's rare." "Judy, and it takes a lot of effort." I replied. "Cheaters will cheat, so what does that mean for us?" She asked softly. "We have 2 choices." I said. "We can move on and start fresh knowing we're just good people who loved the wrong ones. You have a beautiful daughter to show for it. I have nothing, so my life feels wasted, or we can stay and hope they change. But then we're just fools for putting up with it. You deserve someone worthy of you, and I should find someone who is too." "Who are you talking to, Mom?" Penny asked. "Is it Donnie? Does he want to talk to me yet? Did you tell him how sorry I am by, Judy?" I said. "Looks like you've got your hands full." In the following days, I talked to Judy a lot. Tanya and some neighbors brought food and chatted with me. I hired a lawyer and prepared a fair divorce agreement. I wanted to split everything equally, even though it wasn't fair to me. I didn't want things to get ugly, but I was ready to go to court if necessary. My lawyer got Rick to spill everything that had been going on for over 6 months, and Rick believed he wasn't the first. I asked Judy if I could come over to talk. When I arrived, she opened the door and I hugged her. Penny came up to me. "Donnie, I've missed you so much," she said. "Penny, I'm here to make this easier." I said I didn't want a stranger handing you divorce papers, so I brought them myself. "No. Donnie," she pleaded, "I'll stop. It won't happen again. You have to give me another chance. I'm going to see a counselor." "Penny, that won't help." I said this isn't the first time my lawyer questioned Rick. "We know everything. You've been with him for over 6 months, and I doubt he was the first." "How could you look me in the eye? It was just sex," she said. "You and I are so much more than that." "You and I are nothing now," I replied. "All that's left is a gold ring, and that means nothing when the vows are broken." "Donnie, please," she begged. "No, Penny." I said, "I'm not living like this. You're being unfair." She whined, "You're tearing my heart out. You love me. Damn it." "Penny, shut up," Judy said. "Mom, stay out of this." Penny snapped. "He's being unreasonable. It doesn't have to be this way. I love him so much I feel like my heart will burst." "Boo, boo, boo, boo," Judy shouted. "You're just like your father. Penny, you act like the world revolves around you and what you want. I forgave your father repeatedly, and maybe you think that's how it should be. But Donnie isn't me. You're a grown woman, so act like it. You had the perfect marriage, and you ruined it. Now get over it. Donnie's hurting too. He's been so depressed. I can't believe you did this to someone who loves you so much, but then your father did the same to me. I'm glad he's free now. I only wish I had been, but Mom, I'm depressed too." Penny said, "I know I was wrong, and I'm sorry I'm hurting as well." "Penny, it's your own fault as much as I love you. Maybe you deserve it," Judy replied. "I agree," Penny said, "but I don't think it was bad enough to get divorced over." "Shouldn't that be up to the person you hurt?" Judy asked. "It's about what both people want." "Penny, maybe Donnie doesn't want to be married to you anymore." "Stop saying that, Mom," Penny yelled. She turned to me. "Donnie, haven't I been a good wife? I've cleaned, cooked, and given you everything you could want. Why can't you focus on what I did right instead of my mistakes? I feel lost without you. I can't stop crying. I feel like my life is over. You can make us both better. Just forgive me this once. I swear it won't happen again." I left the room without responding at the door. I turned and said, "Penny, get a lawyer. I want to get this over with and start fresh." I drove home and saw Tanya again as I walked onto the porch. "Hey." "Donnie, wait up," she called out. I sighed. As she crossed the yard, she was dressed in old denim shorts and a sweat-soaked t-shirt, clearly having forgotten or skipped wearing a bra. "I need to tell you a couple of things," she said. Tanya wasn't as slender as Penny or Judy, but now that I was no longer with Penny, I noticed her more. "Why are you looking at me like that?" she asked. "Sorry," I said. "I shouldn't have. I just wanted you to know Rick and I are here for you. If you need anything or just want to talk, we're here." Rick's still shaken from being mugged, and talking might help him too. "You know, helping others can make you feel stronger, but that's not what I meant," she added with a smile. "You know, I'm married and you're not that kind of guy." I smiled weakly, thinking about telling her the truth about Rick, but I realized it would only hurt her. Besides, Rick was probably trying his best to be the husband she deserved. After what happened, there was no need to make things worse. "Donnie, it's a cruise," she continued. "One of our clients is organizing a singles cruise, and there are still cabins available. 10 days of fun in the sun might help heal a broken heart. Who knows, you might even meet someone." "I'll think about it, Tanya," I said. "But I don't think I should date anyone until my divorce is finalized. You're a good guy, Donnie, whatever Penny did. I hope she realizes how foolish she is. Let me know about the cruise." Okay, I did everything I could to make things right with Penny. My lawyer handled the divorce, and I went on with my life. I asked my boss to transfer me to another location and explained why. A few days later, he arranged for me to move to our Phoenix plant, which had been interviewing engineers. It seemed like the perfect place for a fresh start, warm weather, and the chance to drive my car year-round. I would leave everything and everyone behind, but that's what starting over is all about. I told Judy about my plan to leave the neighborhood, and she was upset but understood my reasons. She agreed with me, feeling similarly as she processed Ed's end of life and her daughter's betrayal. She had been considering moving to New York to live with her sister and mother, and after our conversation she started seriously thinking about it again. I made her promise not to tell Penny about my plans. "Honey, I don't have to," Judy said. "That girl is obsessed with you. She spends most of her time following you around, terrified you'll find someone else. She was furious when she saw you talking to Tanya on the porch, called her every name in the book, and cried for hours. She's terrified. You'll fall for Tanya and tell her everything, then end up together." "It's not that far-fetched," I replied. "True," she said. "Donnie, you really love my daughter. I could see you trying to figure out how to get her back the other day, but I'm glad you couldn't. She's my baby and I love her, but I love you too, Donnie. We both know what she's like, at least when this is over. You'll have a friend in Arizona and I'll have someone in New York, promise me. We'll stay in touch," she said. "I don't have a choice." I said, "I've only loved two people and one doesn't love me back. You're all I have left." I appreciated Judy telling me about Penny following me. I started keeping an eye on her whenever I went out. One night I went to a movie and saw her watching me in the parking lot. I decided to have some fun. I pretended to wait for someone, bought a ticket through the app, and then called Judy to let Penny know I had a date. Penny stormed out of her car and headed toward me, but I quickly went inside, got my ticket and slipped into the theater just as she arrived. She couldn't find me, and with 15 movies playing, she had no idea which one I was watching. 2 hours later I walked out and pretended to say goodbye to someone. Penny appeared furious. "Cut the crap. Donnie," she snapped. "You went to the movies alone. I've been following you since you left. Get used to it." "Penny," I said, "I won't always be alone. Sooner or later I'll meet someone I want to be with." "You've already met her, dummy. She looks just like me." Penny said, "You just need to get over my one little mistake." I laughed and walked away, realizing Judy was right. I trusted Judy not to tell Penny my plans, but I still needed to leave town without Penny knowing where I was going. The solution came from an unexpected source. The next day I heard a knock at the back door. When I opened it, there stood Rick, looking as nervous as ever, like he didn't belong there. Tanya was watching from their porch, smiling. "I didn't want to come," Rick said, "but she made me." He glanced over my shoulder at Tanya. "Come on in," I said loud enough for her to hear. "I did everything you asked," he said nervously, "and I'm grateful you didn't tell Tanya, but if she hadn't made me come, I would have called you anyway. We have a problem. We don't have anything in common," I replied. "True," he said, "but we both want to protect Tanya, and we both have issues with your ex. Penny's threatening to tell Tanya everything unless I help her get you back. She says, it's not fair for one of us to keep our marriage. If we've both been cheating, she's blackmailing me and into spying on you and pressuring you to take her back." I just stared at him, realizing I could use this situation to my advantage. "Rick." "Do it?" I said. He looked at me confused. "Does Penny know about the cruise Tanya organized for me?" I asked. "I don't think so," he replied. "That's your info to give her," I said. "Tell her about the cruise. It'll keep her occupied for a while, especially if you suggest there's a chance we might talk on the ship, since we'll be stuck together all right." He agreed. "I'll do anything to save my marriage." "Good, you can go," I said. The next day, Tanya called me Donnie. "Penny somehow found out about the cruise. Should I book her on the wrong one or put her in a room close to yours?" she asked Tanya. "Make her pay full price." I said, "You'll be helping me more than you know." "Are you two back together?" she asked. "No chance," I said. "But why? What are you so mad about?" "She cheated on me, Tanya," I said. Sadly, I walked in and caught them. There was no mistake. We're done. I just need to get away. In the following days I prepared for the move, looked at houses, contacted moving companies, and called the new office in Phoenix. I still talked to Judy every day, but the saddest day before I left was when Judy moved to New York. I stopped by to say goodbye, and Penny was there. She had been so busy preparing for the cruise that she hadn't followed me around lately. She smiled as she opened the door. "I miss you so much, honey," she said. I ignored her and went straight to Judy. She hugged me tightly. "I wish you'd hug your wife like that, not my mom," Penny said. "It's probably good moms moving to New York." "I think you're confused about who you care about, Judy," and I laughed. Penny was taking Judy to the airport. I said goodbye and promised to call Judy every day. "I wish you'd call me," Penny said. "You know you're wasting your time with this divorce. By the time we get to court, you'll forget why you wanted it. I noticed you withdrew a large amount of money from our account. but I didn't say anything because I did the same funny coincidence. Ha. I just walked away. She was so happy acting like we were going on a second honeymoon, not realizing we'd be on the same cruise, but not together. The thought of me being with someone else on the cruise never crossed her mind. 3 days later, I was ready to leave. Tanya had everything set up for the cruise, just before the ship left. I called Penny. I won't be home for about 10 days. I told her if you need anything about the divorce, talk to my lawyer. Thanks for letting me know, she said cheerfully. Maybe when you get back you won't want a divorce. Maybe something will remind you how much we need each other, not likely. I said, laughing. She laughed too. Is it so hard to admit you still love me, Donnie, she asked. No, it's not, I said. I still love you. I just want you to love me enough for me to be enough. I do, you fool, she said. Sadly, I've realized life without you isn't worth it. Yes, I made a mistake. But it wasn't about love. Something drew me to Rick and I don't even know what it was. Maybe we'll figure it out in therapy. If you like old sayings. I said, have you heard you can't fight nature? She looked at me strangely and sighed as I hung up. 6 hours later, the ship was at sea, almost out of cellular range, when my phone rang. I looked at the screen and smiled, watching the scenery go by. I thought about how Penny might be looking out of her porthole, but I had a window. Where the hell are you? She shouted. I've searched the whole damn ship and you're not on it. Who said I was? I laughed. How can we get back together if we don't spend time together? She yelled. You won't let me come home, you don't touch me and you barely talk to me. I'm going crazy, I love you. Donnie. Okay, Penny, I said after the cruise you can come home, but we won't sleep together. I'll do whatever it takes to get back in your bed and heart, she said, her voice shaky. I love you, Donnie. The call went silent and I laughed. As I crossed into another state, I decided to call my only friend Hi Judy. I said when she answered, Donnie. She squealed, it's been so long since you called almost. 4 hours, I joked. I think I made a mistake, she said. Do you know what it's like living with 2 stuck-up old women? I started laughing. Judy always lifted my spirits. Stop lying. Judy, everyone loves being around you. I said, Donnie, do you know what time it is? She asked. They say time heals all wounds. I replied, they're wrong, she said. Seriously, I forgot how much I didn't get along with my sister. She and Mom are so alike now that I don't fit in. I laughed again. Do you check your rearview mirror to make sure you're not being followed? She asked. It's hard to keep up with a truck. When you're on a ship? I said. She laughed. I won't ask how you got on the ship without her. Remember the cow weapon commercial? I had my own ancient Chinese secret. I said I love the commercial, she said. Guess I should go make Mommy's tapioca drive safe. Honey. I arrived in Phoenix the next afternoon. The first thing I did was unload my Mustang into the garage. I was relieved. It wouldn't face cold winters again, even if I didn't think about the heat and potential sun damage. Over the next few days, I settled in and got everything set up in my new home. The house was beautiful, but it didn't feel like a home, just a place. The day before I was supposed to start my new job, my cell phone rang without looking. I picked it up. Where are you? She hissed. Why is all your stuff gone? You said I could come home and now the house is empty. You're home, aren't you? Isn't that what you wanted? I said, that's not what I meant. She hissed. I don't want an empty house. This is almost as bad as the divorce you're pushing for. Don't worry about the divorce. I said without proof. My lawyer told me I was screwed. I was at your mercy, so the divorce over your affair with Rick is off good. She said, relieved, now where are you? I'll come to you. I filed again. I said, this time I'm not going to be so nice. She laughed. Does it matter? Why you filed? Call your lawyer, Penny. He already has the papers. Not only will I get the divorce, but I'll also leave you with almost nothing. And by the way, I'm changing my number tomorrow. An hour later. Penny called back. Okay, Donnie, you win. I signed the papers. How did you get the video? I hired a private investigator to take my place on the cruise. I knew you'd act on your desires, if I wasn't around. I set you free. I never even watched the video. Thank you for proving me right about you, Donnie. I can change, she said. I don't think you can, I replied. And honestly, you shouldn't. You're free now to do whatever you want. I'm free too to find someone who'll love me the way I need Donnie. "You don't understand," she cried. "It's me. My father loved my mother more than anything, but he still cheated. It didn't mean anything. It was just Z. They were in love, and that's why she couldn't let him go. You and I are the same. You'll miss me, and when you do, I'll be here, but I'll make you regret putting me through this." 3 weeks later, I was still calling Judy daily. I noticed a sadness in her voice. "Okay, Judy, what's wrong?" I asked. "I'm fine." She said, "Just a little out of sorts." "Judy, don't take this out on someone who doesn't know you. Tell me what's really wrong." "Donnie. Moving here was a mistake." Judy said, "I spent most of the money from selling the house on taxes and improvements, and now I'm stuck. I only have Ed's pension, which covers my expenses, but it's not enough to move again or buy another house. I thought moving in with family would be great, but I guess I just didn't want to be alone. After 20 years of living with someone, at least you still have family to live with," I said. "Oh no," she replied, "that's not an option. You have no idea what Penny's been up to since you divorced her." "No, I don't," I said. "But I wasn't talking about her. Why don't you come live with me? I have plenty of space and I'd love to have you, Donnie." "Are you crazy?" she asked. "I can't live with you. You're my daughter's ex-husband, not anymore." I said, "Come visit. And if you don't like it, you can always go back to New York." "Okay," she agreed. "How about a week's visit? I want to make sure you're okay. I've been visiting Penny in your old house." "Well, do you recognize it?" Judy came to stay with me for a week, and she had so much fun that she didn't want to leave. We did everything together, sightseeing, shopping, and turning my house into a home. By the end of the week, I dreaded her leaving the morning she was supposed to go. She made me breakfast and asked why I looked so down. "Our week's over." I said, "I'm going to miss you. Can you come back soon?" "No," she said, and honestly. "Donnie, I don't think you really want me to." "Judy, you're my best friend." "Of course I do. Don't you want to come back?" "No." She smiled, because if I come back it means I left and I don't want to. I smiled and hugged her tightly. We both knew something was happening, but neither of us was ready to admit it. The next morning she made me breakfast again. "I can't send you to work on an empty stomach," she said. "And I'm taking you to work today. I need the car to go shopping." "Are you sure you don't want to drive the truck?" I asked. She stuck out her lower lip and held out her hand for some reason. It didn't bother me to let her drive my Mustang, something I never let Penny do. I handed her the keys and her smile made my day after breakfast. We drove to my office. I expected her to leave, but she came in with me, looked around, and even met my secretary. Then she led me to my inner office. "So why haven't you slept with her yet?" she teased. "She's not my type," I said. Judy laughed and said she'd pick me up after work. That evening we grilled steaks and watched the sunset. I noticed she hadn't just gone shopping. She'd also decorated the house with little touches that made it feel more like home. Over the next few weeks, things progressed slowly but steadily. We spent evenings together, taking long drives, photographing landscapes, going to movies, or trying new restaurants. But most of all, we enjoyed quiet nights at home. I often suggested we go out because I was afraid of what might happen if we spent too much time alone together. About 5 months later, on Judy's birthday, I wanted to make it special. I bought her a diamond necklace and made reservations at a fancy restaurant. We had a wonderful dinner, and a violinist serenaded us with happy birthday. When I gave her the necklace, her eyes lit up and she asked me to put it on her. As I did, I noticed her smiling and pointing behind me. I turned and saw the waiter standing there, ready to serve us. The waiter said, "I was just saying, sir, that your wife is the most beautiful woman here." "You're right about that," I replied. "Donnie, you should thank him, silly." Judy giggled, or at least correct him. "He thought we were married." "I couldn't thank you enough." I said that would mean I had something to do with you being so beautiful, and I didn't correct him, because I don't mind if people think we're married. Ready for dessert? Yes. She said, "Can we take it home and eat it there?" Hearing her call it home instead of your house warmed my heart. When we got back, it felt like the perfect end to a wonderful night. It was strange, but at 30 I realized I didn't need anything else to be happy. When we got home, we made love, then showered and collapsed into bed. "I love you, Judy," I said. 5 months. She said, "I can't believe we've been doing this for 5 months. We wouldn't have lasted this long if we were the type to just jump into bed with someone." I said, "Maybe not." She laughed, "But we're both the type to love deeply and exclusively. The next night when I got home, dinner was ready, and she had something else planned. I wanted to make sure last night wasn't a fluke. She laughed. We made it a rule, not to mention Ed or Penny. The past was behind us, and we focused on the future. We had so many good times together that there was no room for the past. We did a lot of things together for the first time, but we never talked about marriage. It just never came up, even though everyone assumed we would. That was until the past caught up with us. Our mistake was moving Judy's belongings from New York to Phoenix. Penny went looking for her mom and her grandmother, and AOT, unaware of the situation, gave her our address. That's when the trouble started. One Saturday. I went out to buy supplies for a barbecue. While I was gone, Penny showed up at our porch. Judy had no choice but to let her in, hoping I'd be gone long enough to get rid of her Penny quickly. Realized Judy wasn't living alone, and that her housemate was likely a man. Judy confirmed it and agreed to meet her for breakfast the next morning. Penny drove off but got lost and saw my car on her way out. Judy decided to wait until we had relaxed a bit before telling me the bad news. As we were grilling steaks and getting ready to relax, we noticed someone peeking over our 6-foot fence. Penny's eyes went wide and she started screaming. We let her in. "I can't believe you two," she yelled especially. "You, Mom, what would Daddy think, Penny? We're not married anymore," I said. "So what are you doing here?" "I came to find my mother. She said I was hoping she knew where you were." "I need help." "What kind of help?" I asked. "I've lost almost all the money you left me and I'm about to lose my house. I was hoping you'd give me another chance." "I realize how stupid I was," she said. "Sadly, I'm sorry." "Penny, but there's no chance I said you can't fight nature." "Yes, you can," she insisted. "If you want it badly enough, you can do anything." "I swear I've changed. I was talking about Judy's nature and mind." I smiled. "It's in our nature to fall in love and stay that way forever. We can't fight it. But since you're our daughter, we'll help with the house. Go home, and I'll put some money in your account. But you'll need to get a job." "Why can't I stay here with you?" she asked Penny, just being around. "You reminds me of what you did, and it makes me angry all over again. That's why I left town." "Do you want the money or not?" "Of course," she said. Then she looked directly at Judy. "You don't want me here, do you, Mother? You know that if I had a fair chance, you'd lose. Donnie only agrees with you because he thinks he loves you, but really he still loves me. He stays with you because you're just like me and he knows you won't cheat on him." Judy and I both laughed. We'd already talked about our pasts enough that Penny's words didn't bother us. I preferred Judy's kindness over Penny's any day, and Judy appreciated that I only had eyes for her. Penny left the next morning, still angry that we hadn't let her stay, but it would have been inconvenient. Judy and I were happy with how things turned out. We both wanted to be alone together, and in some way we felt what happened to Penny was our fault, but we were content with our decision. Later, we learned that Penny had slept with several men in our neighborhood, including some of our friends, which caused a lot of gossip. One morning, Tanya saw a couple of men leaving the house and confronted them. That's how she found out everything. When she told them they should be ashamed of embarrassing their wives with the neighbor's mistress, they told her to mind her own business and suggested she watch her own husband instead. They hinted, "That's why I divorced Penny and left." Tanya confronted Rick, who broke down and admitted his guilt. 2 days later, as Penny was packing her suitcases, she had a strange feeling. Just as she was about to call one of the guys, she noticed Tanya sitting in the dark. "I always thought we were friends." Tanya said, tears in her eyes. "We are." A shocked Penny replied, "You had it all. Penny, a beautiful home, a good life and a husband who adored you. Why wasn't that enough?" Tanya asked, "I never thought he'd find out." Penny said, "I love him, but I couldn't control myself. It's just something in me like my father. I guess you can't fight nature when that kind of desire takes over." Tanya said, and then she shot Penny. Tanya called emergency and waited for the police. It was ruled a crime of passion and Tanya was sentenced to 8 to 15 years. Rick vowed to wait for her and visit every week. Judy and I got married. After Penny's end of life, we realized we were all each other had. There were articles about us, especially because it's still rare for a woman in her 40s to carry twins to full term. We didn't name them Penny and Ed as we kept our rule of leaving the past behind. Judy and I often visit Penny's grave and talk to her. It's sad and tragic when someone dies and we don't wish that fate on her. Although neither of us had anything to do with her end of life, we both feel some guilt. Both Ed and Penny were sufferers of their nature. It's poetic in a way that Penny couldn't learn from her father's mistakes and met the same fate. I guess you really can't fight nature, and despite everything, we did live happily ever after.